I have definitely spent some too much time building some engines, so let's take a look at them. GMODISM. Well. We're gonna do it on a new platform, however, so we don't get too cluttered. But I was basically going to do something pretty basic. And then I ended up sitting an entire day designing engines, basically. As you do when you have decided to play this game and get somewhat stuck. So I have built a lot of different types of engines. We have fuel engines as well. That's actually a minor addition, so we're going to begin with looking at the new fuel engines. And when I get to update the commissioned officers files, then I'll put them in there too, of course. By the way, so there is this little support option. You can support the channel via our shop.gmodism.com, which would actually be better like bank service wise, because they take a less of a cut. But if I made it so that you can access the commissioned officers files, so that the files would be accessible if you remember there as well, would that make you more interested in that option, or is it just unnecessary with the government of GMODISM? Please tell me. So anyways, this is the new version of my little power flower. I have it since before. It's a 2600 injector engine, so it has pretty good stats. I've used it a lot, but the piping is a little bit all over the place for this one. So I decided to make a super compact 3x3 version when I was building on a base for the Sword of the Ecclesiarch, which is our sub-faction participating in the Promethean Directive. It's just a tiny little bit weaker, like 100 mats, but as you can see if you go in here, this original one cost 320, and our Tight Edition costs 258. So I think it may be actually better power per volume, possibly. Power per volume at 100% would be 77, and power per volume for this one would be 48. Oh yeah, most definitely. Well, that's a little smaller addition. That's actually a little bit old. I didn't build that today. The rest I basically made today. So here I built an exhaustless supercharger engine with just 60 power. It is absolutely minuscule. This only provides 60 power, yes, but I thought it would be a nice engine to use on, like small cars, super tiny boats, because obviously it is supercharger, so it only uses a tiny bit of material per minute. We can add actually a couple of ECMs. I usually build with a lot of ECMs online just to test the load of the engines. So that's kind of a little trick to use engine power so we can easily test the load. Because this is something a lot of people kind of miss, but systems behave a little bit differently when they are under load and when they are not under load. So people believe they build like really strong steam engines, but then they put them under load. And it turns out they're not very strong, actually. I was there too. It's a difficult game, but that's something good to know. Anyhow, producing 60 power ain't great, of course, but it's doing it at 0.01 material, so it's basically free energy. It's pretty boring though, but it is an exhaustless design, so it is also built to be inside things and hidden. It's not a for show engine, so to say. It's a single cylinder engine. Well, this one is a little bit more fun. It funnily enough ended up having 666, well 0.8, so it's actually 667, but whatever, stable power. And it's a V-twin engine. And well, it's obviously a bike engine, so I named it a V-twin bike engine with the fitting number of power for a bike engine of some evil faction, probably. Well, if you don't know this, but I have a lot of like fake companies, basically, that are like representative of the different engines, so to say, because I think that's more fun. So here you can see an older engine I built. It's really good. This one is really good. We're gonna have it on a new battleship that's hopefully gonna beat the Gimli, but more about that later. In any case, for like today, I almost exclusively built for the Centauri GmbH, which is like ink in German. I'm not German. I have all over the world types of companies here. But in any case, this is 666 power as said, or 67 if you want to be like that. But it's obviously very inefficient, but it is to be, it's like a for show engine, so to say. Right. Then I have, I actually built one for Compaq AB as well. And this one produces 1500. It is a tight fit engine, so it is a compact one. Now, maybe we should compare it with some of the in-games designs. Now, this is obviously a lot larger, but it could be interesting to see what type of power per material it has. 356, and ours has 710. Obviously producing much less power, but this is a efficient hide and forget engine. Not an injector type, it's just gonna be there, you know. The pre-built engine for in-game use is obviously just can produce a lot of power. You don't have to produce that much power with it. It does use carburetors with superchargers as well. So if you drag this down to like low RPM, it's obviously gonna have a pretty good power per material. Maybe not as good as I thought, but whatever. So that's like the trick. If you want to have supercharger engines, then you'll have to do something like that. As you can see for this 60 power engine, if we go in here, it's actually locked at 0.35 percentages. Otherwise it could output some, what is it? Almost 120 power. But the power per material would be really bad. So we can drag it out slightly to make it a little bit better, but obviously this is to provide basic engine power for basic wheels. So if you look at the land compartment here, for example, you see the really small wheels. The max power use is like 10. So you can imagine a tiny engine like that is actually going to be enough for a smaller car. Oh, and this one looks really fun. I have an asymmetrical engine, so I haven't built a lot of asymmetrical engines like this, but I wanted to have a almost radial looking engine for aviation use that could basically be fitted to look like it controls a propeller or something like that. And it's not too bad. It has a decent power per material, even though it's not good. It is a super, it has some superchargers, yes, so it will be somewhat effective at lower RPMs as well, but not at all. Basically, it's just for the front ones, but whatever. It is a turbocharger engine, which means that generally it's more efficient the more power it is using. If we're gonna limit the RPM of this thing, its power per material is actually not going to be super great. And if we drag it up here, the power per material, well, it kind of stays the same. Well, that makes sense too, because we are using the cylinder turbochargers, which means they have like limited boosts. But anyways, generally, they work better when they are highly loaded, but then you may have to go to something like, here we have the gas recycler module, which basically recycles gas and gives you basically almost free power. And this thing, of course. I don't know if we looked through this before on the channel, But this is a crazy multi-stage engine. Oh my god, it is absolutely insane. It provides 10,000 power efficiently and goes up to 22,000 power less efficiently. But it basically utilizes several stages. Just gonna cut away the sides here a little bit. Can actually cut away this cooler side as well. It's gonna be a little bit non-functional, but whatever. It uses an intricate network of turbochargers, and them turbochargers are going to be reused on here, so it's pretty efficient at high RPMs like that, and it is also pretty efficient at lower RPMs. Inside of here we have a backup injector engine, and on this side of the engine we have the super efficient engine with a lot of superchargers to make it quite indeed efficient. So it's gonna fit really well for a battleship. And last stage we have this. This is the gas recycler, and as you can see here, it basically uses the exhaust here. It reuses the exhausts and, well, provides a pretty efficient system. Well, in any case, it behaves differently depending on what load it's under, but obviously it's basically supposed to be loaded to, as the efficient level, 10k, it's going to be loaded to about, like, if you don't do anything with the engine, if you don't do anything with the ship, like if you're idle, the 10k should cover it. So if it's 20k you need for idle, you'll need 2 of them, and yeah, that's the thought behind them. Well, any case, there we have a lot of things for some other videos, which I think may already be made when I release this. I don't know, we shall see. Also check out the GMODISM channel if you haven't. Of course, we have a lot of videos there too. Oh man, I don't know if I show this, but if you missed that, I think this is super cool. Look at this, you can line up, like the green is gonna be lined up with the blue, and it's basically a stackable engine. This is already in the commissioned officers files, by the way, so you can get this one, but it is like a supercharger, turbocharger engine, which is stackable, so it's gonna be decently efficient, whatever size you want it. But back to what I actually built today. So for that, we'll need to go into, no, not Steam. I did save everything in electric, to be honest, because I built a series of systems which is steam electric. I hadn't done so many steam electric systems before. So as with our main steam company, we have the S Corp. So this is the steam electric aircraft grade. It only provides 180 power. And the system that S Corp uses is that Type 0 is the first variant within its piston or like steam size. And the symbol afterwards, A means small steam, B means medium steam, and C means large steam. So if I make 2 type of engines that are steam electric with like, well, big steam, it's gonna be 0 first and 1 for the second variant, and you know, then it counts up basically. But anyways, this is only 180 power, but it is pretty nice. This is pre-set up to exactly generate the power we need. So it exactly generates the energy and then inputs this into this little electric engine. So when we have this on a vehicle, it will provide the power we need. Yeah, 180 to be exact, but it's a really small format, and the aviation like name on it, aircraft grade, means that it's very small and like very thin and elongated. I can't speak. And the reason behind that is because it's gonna fit in a fuselage, right? Okay, then we have the steam electric tank grade. Next out, I built a little bit stronger engine, and this I call tank grade. So it's also small, of course, but it provides 450 power. And it is flat like this, so it is meant to be placed where we need it to be real flat, like for example inside a tank or a car or something like that that needs low profile. Naturally, we can use a tank grade engine in aircraft as well. It's just a little bit of fun when making these names. Next out, I made a stronger steam electric aircraft grade engine. As said, means that it's elongated. This one provides 700 power, if I recall correctly, has some material storage as well. It's not 1x1, but it's 1x2, and I'm thinking this will fit good enough. I think it's ugly as hell, but it's pretty functional, so well, there it is. Then I made a tank grade engine, but the first one of the medium steams. So this is a pretty thick thing, like this on a tank. Like, of course you can have that, but it's a tiny bit overkill maybe. It's not that thin. Might as well be a ship grade, I don't know. It's very compact, it's not very efficient. And that's another thing that I tend to do with the tank grade things. So for things that are going to be used on a land campaign, the Ashes of the Empire has a volume restriction. So the tank grade ones are a bit more dense and a bit less power to material efficient and a bit more power to like space efficient, right? The ship grade ones, they are a little bit in the middle. They are much more, well, it's a compromise between space and power, but it's definitely more focus on the power to material cost. So this ship grade one provides quite a lot, 14,000 power, and it's also somewhat effective. It's a bit longer too, so yeah. It stably sits and provides 14,000 power, so pretty compact and neatly set up system, if I can say so myself. But I also built it, so you know, there is that. Since that was pretty large, I built basically a half version of that with some modifications, giving us half of that 7,000 power, like this. But on a pretty flat format. So it could be used on some big land vehicle probably too, maybe. Dependent on what the volume restriction is, I don't remember. So, steam electric. Here we have another aircraft grade engine. It's a bit weaker than the ship grade below, but it's also medium steam. And this is, well, naturally elongated like this. Provides a little less power, and the ship grade ones, they are less dense. The tank grade one, they are the most dense, and the aircraft ones, they are in between in denseness, basically. They are the middle ground between ship and tank grades. Yeah, so that is gonna be pretty handy, I think. Then we have an absolutely crazy system. We're gonna look at that later. It's gonna take some time probably. I anyways built I built some monsters here too. This one is probably my favorite. This is the S-Corp RTG Electric. It only has 720 power, but it has 30,000 smart charger. So this is set up to only charge the batteries if the battery power is getting a bit low. If it's not getting a bit low, well, then we don't need to. But when the stored battery power is going below 5% from full, like to under 95%, this kicks in and produces 30,000 power. Pretty compactly, not that efficiently, but pretty darn good. If we need to produce quick power, it kicks in. Otherwise, this runs at a sleek 720 power, only powered by the RTGs. So it's perfectly balanced. Everything is covered by the RTG. So if you have this and you can make your ship maneuver for 720 power with your propellers, then you can have extra batteries and basically use the rest of the system, like this 30,000 charger, to charge something like railguns or plasma. And it, as said, uses a smart valve system. So I have a tiny, like, this is of course a little bit EMP susceptible, but I think it's the only way we can make it not take any power when it's offline. So this costs no energy. It only costs energy when we need to recharge the batteries, thanks to the valves here. And we also have steam tanks integrated, so even though we run out of materials, even though this system gets a bit damaged, we will still be able to output some of that steam. And if we somehow are not able to burn enough materials, the stored steam here will be making sure that the steam gets directly to the turbine, kicking the 30,000 recharge as we need it directly. We can actually just spawn a few more of these in order for it to, well, basically charge, right? But for that, we of course need to have more engine power. So that's kind of the little thing here. When we need to charge things like this, we'll need engine power. It's a bit confusing. They don't put the electricity under load. They put engine power under load. So we need to spawn another one of these engines here in order for the battery power to go down. And you'll see the valves will kick in right there. And now we are running up to 30,000 power. Yeah. And we can keep it online like that. Very nice. So this will be pretty useful for a lot of builds I'm gonna do when we're gonna play the campaign and things like that. Actually, we may need this little extra engine here for the rest of the tests as well. But I really like that smart charger system. So yeah, there is that. Now, we are going to check this thing. This is the S-Corp Steam Electric Ship Grade. It's a 44,000 power. This is Type C. It is absolutely huge. It provides 44,000 engine power using electricity and charges that electricity easily, no problem, with this large turbine generator. And thanks to the size of this thing, it is decently effective. It's not that bad with the materials per second. Now, we could integrate a smart switch system with valves as well, but that opens up to some EMP susceptibility. And this size of an engine, it is actually protected from EMP thanks to the little rubber and some integrated surge protectors, right? Well, now we're going to check out my little RTGs here. So I made a little series of RTG engines, which is not RTG electric, but pure RTG. And this is under the Centauri brand. As you can see, we can actually spawn them in here. They won't require to be looked at individually. We have an aviation there. We got a Jeep engine there, or a tank one, but it's so small. And we got a larger one here. So all of these provide decent amount of power, or exactly the amount of power that the radioisotope thermoelectric generator provides the batteries on board. And yeah, so this is basically free electricity. And the largest one provides just 1,700, and the smallest 30. The aviation 90, and the first one here 405 power. This is probably the most useful, but of course, whatever the needs are. I think they look pretty nice, and I don't know, making things under brand gives me something. I think it's a bit fun. Now, we should look at the absolutely crazy thing that I've built here. This took a little bit of time. This is the Centauri Hercules supercharger, and it has a crazy charging rate of 300,000, and well, somewhat like that, and it does provide some power, 25,000 power with a 4 million built-in battery. It's obviously 70,000 in cost, so well, it's a larger system. All right, I'm gonna plonk this down here. So this little beast is a it's basically more like a backup charger. This can charge your batteries in an absolutely crazy level. This is like insane level. So if you check this thing out here, we have a boiler going in here, and this boiler is connected up to a well, pressure valve system and a lot of steam tanks. So we have so much pre-stored steam, which we can just throw at the generators to generate a lot of power. We do have some built-in batteries, and we do have some pretty short turbines inside of here. Then we also have this additional, well, steam engine system with parallel pistons, not serial pistons, they're parallel. So it's pretty energy inefficient. It is not to be a system that's charging batteries all the time. It is to be used and kicked in when it is needed, or for like crazy big battleships that are desperate need of power for the railguns and stuff like that. And it can also be easily set up to produce or use a lot less power when not in use as well. Here we got some generators for the steam, 4 of them to be exact, and obviously they provide a lot too. We can also set it to produce some engine power if we are in need of that. It's preset to not produce any engine power, just to focus on the electrics. They are connected up, as said, with some auxiliary extra steam here, and the main steam comes in here, basically from a pressure valve system like this. So the thought is that it's going to slowly, or not slowly, it's going to release its steam here. Make sure that the pressure is high like that. And then it's just going to release this steam into the steam tanks. And if we run out of materials or whatever, we have a lot stored steam. And the stored steam actually makes it so that we can recharge at 300k. But that's actually not quite the sustained power load. The sustained power load is a bit less, but it takes a good amount of time to get through the stored steam in the system too. Now, just to give you an example, it's pretty hard to actually showcase this system because it requires the most insane amount here of like engine power. We'll need to provide a really large electric engine that probably is capable of several 100,000 of power for it to even show. Then naturally we need some of these. We're just going to make sure that all of these are set to max. They are, that's good. We can just take and do a little copy. Well, that will be fine. So now we're using a lot of power. I think actually this engine is a bit too weak, probably. Yeah, it is. See you soon. And somewhere around there, we need to add so that we have a 300,000 strong electric engine. And now finally, the electric charge is ticking down a bit. Now we can investigate this system under load. So you can see that we are, well, the electric engine is using almost 300,000 energy per second. And it is slowly ticking down there, so it's not going to be infinitely. You can see the pressure is slowly ticking down here in the steam tanks, but of course 300,000 is a lot. It is a lot of electricity. This is obviously a crazy system. It's not going to be used in any reasonable scenario. Yeah, and I think that's where we end off here. With some words about decommissioned officers in the army of GMODISM, of course. I'm gonna have some nice background here. I know for a fact it's not gonna be easy to read these otherwise. So huge thanks to all the commissioned officers in the army of GMODISM. If anyone joined the government of GMODISM, of course, as well, and to all of the in the ecclesiarchy of GMODISM, which is well, the YouTube members. Well, thanks to the commissioned officers, most notably Captain Awesome Pupper, Commanders Ben Wilkin, Delphin, Lieutenants Ali, Anto, Cravey, Flars Dagan, Daniil Zaikin, Owen, Powered by Greed, Vincent Veritas, Rick Prell, and Scooberox, and of course, all our cadets. Also, would you join the government if I put the files available there too? That's the question I'm wondering about, so please answer. Yeah, so thanks a lot for watching again, and yeah, I hope you liked this little engine showcase. I don't know, maybe I should keep doing the showcases on the GMODISM channel, I don't know. Tell me in the comments that too. This is your host Eric of GMODISM, your Admiral, signing out. See you.